Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the Trust and Believe Nomad Cast. I am your host, Damon Anderson. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We are now in season 2, episode 13. So definitely glad to have you guys on this ride with me, on this journey with me. So I appreciate that. Hey, hope everyone had a great weekend. Me and my family, we kind of chilled a little bit last week for fall break. We went out to Washington, D.C. and spent a week there. And it was amazing. The weather was great. Oh, a couple of days it had rain, but all in all, the weather was great. The atmosphere was great. The people were great. Very hospitable, very respectful. And it was a nice trip, a fun trip, something that we needed. Kind of just get out the local area a little bit. You know, been grinding with work and school and everything. And it's always good to kind of get away from the local area a little bit. We went and saw the sights, the Washington Monument, the African American Museum, Lincoln Memorial, you know, all the sites, the normal sites that people go see. You know, what's funny about Washington, D.C., something I've always noticed a few times I've been there, for a district so compact, it is very busy. In D.C. alone, just traffic is just, oh gosh, the traffic is just ridiculous. But, you know, you can come to D.C. and you can kind of just get out your vehicle and just walk around. Yeah, you put some steps on, you get some miles, you burn some calories, but that's a lot better. I think probably the next time we go, we'll do one of those bus tours and kind of just ride around. But yeah, it definitely was great. Got a chance to go through that whole DMV area, went to Fort Lee, Virginia, kind of showed our kids some of the schools we attended in our military career at Fort Lee. So that was fun. Took pictures, ate a lot of food. So it was great. It was great to kind of just unwind. This past weekend, Michigan won, which was great. But whenever Michigan gets me on that high, the Detroit Lions say, well, let me bring you back down to reality. So the Lions lost yesterday, and, you know, that was something. But all in all, it was a good trip, a good weekend. Definitely glad to have that time spent. I'm a person, man, especially as I've grown older. I love spending time with my wife and my kids, man. That's my heart right there. So definitely love that. But with the Trust and Believe Nomad Cast, I'm back at it. This October 11th, 2021. And today we'll be talking on Mental Kombat, talking about depression and some of the effects of depression. I myself has been affected by depression in the past and current. Had some of my brothers and sisters in the service has succumbed to depression. Some people are going through depression, whether they want to admit it or not. So that's something I'll attack shortly here on Mental Kombat, talking about depression. So let's get to it. Depression, Monday Mental Kombat. All right, everybody, welcome back. Welcome back to the Trust and Believe Nomad Cast. This segment is Monday Mental Kombat, like we do on every Monday. And today we're talking about depression and how depression affects cons to depression. You know, I guess the pro would be is seeking and attaining help. It's one of those things, like I said in the opening, lost a lot of service members, brothers and sisters and civilians, and, you know, a lot of people to depression. And it's a sad state, you know, things gets inside your mental mindset and kind of just makes you feel a way that's not happy, makes you feel a way that's not constructive. It affects everything. Like I say, your mentals, your physicals. It affects your family, your friends, your work performance, your life support, your well-being, everything. And I just tell a story. Try to be as transparent as I can on these Nomad Cast, and everything. So I would tell you, I talked about myself going through depression. I think the first time I really, felt that I was depressed was when we were stationed in Japan from 2014 to 2017, mid 2017. And around that time, we left, I think, in July of 2017. So April, I came up on the Master Sergeant list. Had a sequence number and everything, but you have to wait, for that sequence number to come up and you'll be promoted, which subsequently was November of that year. So the Sergeant Major, rest in peace, that was in my unit in Japan, conducted an interview to be the first sergeant. I was going to be the first sergeant as an E7 promotable. I talked with various people around there. I was like, yeah, you should do it. You'd be good for it. And so he sent a HRC. At that time, I was already on orders to Korea. And everyone knows it takes a lot to get out of those orders from Korea. So my Sergeant Major just spoke of, he wrote a letter, sent an email to HRC, basically, summarizing the whole situation and everything. And HRC, I think a couple of days later, came back and said, no, he's on orders to Korea and he's going. And right there, I was like, I want to be a first sergeant. I think I'll be a very capable first sergeant. And it didn't work out, in Japan. So my orders still went to Korea. So when I got to Korea, that was my first thing I wanted to do. I want to be a first sergeant. I want to be a first sergeant, And I knew I was coming up to make master sergeant, so that would just aligned perfectly. And as an E7 promotable, getting frocked to first sergeant. So I'm like, okay, ready. And ran into a wall. And I was like, I don't want to work in the S3 no more. I don't want to do that, because I was going to an S3. I want to be a first sergeant. I want to be a first sergeant. But I would tell you, my sergeant major that was in Korea, he sat me down and told me the reasons why, hey, I need you here, so on and so forth. I got what you want, but this is where I need you. This is where I'm going to place you. So, I just bowed out gracefully and, full steam ahead, and they got 180% of everything from me. Trust and believe that. It was a phenomenal assignment. But I remember I used to sit in my room and I used to be like, man, why is this happening? Why is that happening? And I did my job, I think I went over the standard sometimes, but definitely met the standard. But I was like, why is this? Why is that? And when depression really set in is after that year in Korea. Now, mind you, you're away from family, and that's a whole nother set of depression because you're away from family. I'm just speaking on the military side. When I got to Fort Knox, I went from a person that had influence, because I was enabled by some power brokers. I mean, it was phenomenal, top to bottom. The unit I was in Korea was phenomenal, right? Not taking anything away from others. And when I got to my unit in Fort Knox, great unit as well, but it was a different mission. It was a different mission set. And what I was used to in Korea for that year was not what I was going to be doing in Fort Knox, which ultimately was where I retired from. So that was a lot of depression in that, because now, I wasn't the only voice. There was other master sergeants around. It was very senior heavy. So, the influence was different. The voices were different. So it took a while for me to kind of find my niche. And that's usually, how it is when you go from duty station to duty station, especially when you get up in, your senior level. So it took a while to really kind of, okay, where's my voice? They used to this person, or they used to these other guys. Hey, man, you should have saw what I did in Korea. And they kind of like, yeah, who cares? So it was kind of like, man, people able to do things without my influence, without my touch on anything, without my voice. And, and I think I masked the depression well. But it was times I would come home and it's like, man, it's like I'm not even, I felt like I wasn't needed. And of course, everyone was there. It was phenomenal people, phenomenal unit. But, I just felt that, man, my voice being heard. The people really need me. So it was depression in that. And then you move to retirement. And the first few months of retirement, my son was doing the online, for the whole COVID, thing in our school district. And so my son, this smart cat, man, he would do these assignments and it was kind of like, Dad, it's great, but I got it. I can figure it out. I got it. And that's kind of like, hold on, man, I know this stuff too. But, he just, schoolwork is one of the things you don't have to even babysit him on because this dude is on it. Smart dude, man. So I'm kind of like just walking around the house. I'm just feeling sad. It's like, man, I don't feel like I didn't have a voice, when I was in my last few months in. And then at home, it's kind of like, man, what do I do, And it was never to the point where, I've, thought about suicide or anything to that, but you go from a certain level to where people was, waiting on your word, waiting on your presence, waiting on your voice. And then all of a sudden it just stopped. And I think a lot of times too, especially in our military community, we want things to go the way we're used to. And, we talk about adaptability and things of that nature. And it's like, man, we are taught to adapt, but I can tell you for me personally, I don't adapt well when things are changing, depending on the situation. And I tell you though, like again, the first few months of retirement, it was a very depressive state. The phone call stopped, hey man, sorry, all that stuff stopped because, these guys are still on active duty. You just a dude that just had a retirement ceremony. We don't need you right now. We don't need you, You see people in the PX that kind of, it was just the conversations and everything is just the same. And, again, even now you kind of feel sometimes like, your voice matters and, but you still like feel like you're missing something. So I've had some depressed states in that, it was like, man, I used to complain about always getting called about missions and all this stuff. And then the phone calls kind of stop and the day-to-day activity stops. But what I would tell you, my wife has been my greatest voice, my greatest trusted confidant, my kids as well. And I tell you one thing that's really helped me with depression, probably a couple of things outside of my family, is the services provided by the VA. Definitely helped, doing the mental health conversations, either conducting a face-to-face or via telephonic. Those have been helpful. But one thing that I didn't think that was going to be helpful, what actually turned out to be helpful, was conducting these podcasts, Nomad Casts. This allows me to kind of get some of those stories out, allow my voice to be heard. And that's why I will continue to say, this is my therapy. But a lot of people, for other reasons, they don't have this avenue, this outlet. And those are the people that we really have to start digging in and trying to figure out what's really wrong. Usually when you greet someone, it's, hey, how you doing? Oh, I'm good. And you kind of just go on with your day like nothing's happened. But is that person really good? Do they feel well? Are we asking those questions to not be intrusive and be in everybody's business, but do we really care when we asking somebody, hey, how do you feel? You never know what someone's going through, man. You can see somebody in the grocery store and it's almost like they're in a zombie-like state. But then conversely, you can have some people that's depressed and they got smiles on their face. They just walking around like nothing's happened. And I think as a society, I think the way, and probably with the advent of social media, we've kind of gotten away from really digging in and knowing people. Even some of the people that we've been knowing for years. Do we really know people to a point where they would trust you in saying, hey, these are the issues I'm going through. I'm thinking about this. This is on my mind. I'm concentrated on this. What can I do to help? What can you do for me? It's a slippery slope, man, because, you don't want to be in everybody's business, but sometimes being in people's business helps their lives, helps them potentially save a life. Like I said in the beginning, I've lost a lot of service members due to depression and the way they feel. And it could be a lot of things, man. It could be financial, it could be family, it could be friends, lack thereof, location, employment, lack of employment. So I think we really have to dig deep and conduct deep dives, as we say, and really find out about a person. When you say you're all right, are you really all right? What is going on? But no one's just going to tell you their problems. They're not going to just tell you they're depressed unless they have some sort of, alliance with you. And you have to earn that right to be someone's trusted confidant. You don't want to just, give your whole life away and what's in your spirit, what's in your soul to someone that one ear they listen and then with their mouth they're telling everything that's going on. And that's not right. That's not fair. So I think as a culture, as humans, we have to do a better job of that, especially in this culture we're in now. It's all about pointing the finger outward, but we never point the thumb inward. Definitely. So I've talked to a lot of people over the years about depression, and I never really felt it or understood it until, like I stated, in the opening of this depression segment. And that's one of the things I want to attack too on Mondays when I'm talking about different issues, health issues. I talked about depression today, talked about influences and different things in the past. This is something I definitely want to speak of because I myself is a person that has been through it and currently is going through it, but things are better. And, again, every day is progress, man. Every day is better. And you have to do things to kind of change yourself. And if you're the type of person, if you're an extrovert where you like to be around people, maybe that can help you get out of a depressive state. If you're an introvert, how do you get out of a depressive state when you don't want to be around anybody? It could be difficult. But you have to find some way because no one deserves, to succumb to depression. We all deserve the good things in life. So if you're one of those people that has been depressed or, know somebody succumbed to depression, it's always helped. Like I said, for me, the VA has been a great ear. They're advocates for, assistance with veterans that may suffer from depression. Even on the civilian side, there's ways to help, to seek help or help. You can volunteer. It could do a lot of things. Like I said, in the links below, I'll link some sites that can potentially help with depression, mental awareness, mental health awareness, and everything that's involved with that. But again, this one is kind of short, but I just want to just talk about depression and the things that can potentially lead up to it. Like I said, it could be life situation, circumstances. And tell you, man, as a person that's lost many service members to depression, there's so many ways to seek help and to get help. Talk to somebody, please, find that trusted confidant to air out your concerns and your issues with, because we don't need another life lost due to depression. You're not alone in this fight. We're in this together. I know those are just words, but again, seek that help, man. If you're a service member, contact the VA. Depression, if you're a civilian, contact those civilian sectors to get some help. I'll leave also a 1-800 number in the description as well. Again, just this is something that we got to combat. We got to get better at helping our fellow service members that's going through depression, helping our civilian brothers and sisters, our local community, helping them with depression, and just trying to do the right thing by people, man. We are here to serve. We're here to be servant leaders. We're here to help. And this is one of the ways you can help, man. Again, I know this story too well. It is too close to the vest. It is too close to my heart. And I don't take it lightly. I don't take that responsibility lightly. So if you can get some help, man, and again, I'll leave the links in, the phone numbers in, the websites in, to get some help with depression. It's an everyday battle. It's an everyday battle, but you keep fighting. You keep fighting. There's a line on Friday. He said, you live to see another day. Tomorrow's going to be better than today. Just stay with it. Stay with it. All right. Find out who that trusted confidant is. Call those services, man. Get on the website and seek their help, man. Because we don't need to lose another person or people to depression. And I know we got to go through rain sometimes to get to the sun, and that's definitely a true statement. But let's stay in this together, man. Let's stay in the fight. All right. Yeah, that's a very somber subject. I don't want to add too much to it. Just kind of want to share some of my stories, and again, just want to be a vessel. You want to be a vessel of change and help people. And that's what I want to do, man. Just help people, especially going through something that I've been through or going through. All right. Switching gears, tomorrow on Talking on a Tuesday is going to be part 2 of Do We Really Miss the Old School? A couple weeks ago, I had it broken down into a few categories talking about the old school. So we'll go ahead and dive into that tomorrow. That'll be Talking on a Tuesday. Do we miss the old school part 2? Again, look at the links and the phone numbers and websites that I'm going to have in the description. If you're going through depression, if you're going through any mental illness or anything, there are systems in place to assist. Find those trusted confidants, and just, allow someone to help you if you're going through this, whether currently or in the past. You can be a voice for someone. All right. Happy Monday. Peace and love, everybody. See y'all tomorrow for Talking on a Tuesday.